So, why we have to look at ourselves? Why Yov says that when I'm looking at myself, I will understand how Hashem, the concept, how it works by Hashem, by the Creator. Because Hashem said, Naaseh Adam, Betzalmenu, Kidmutenu. Hashem, when he created the first human being, Adam, Hashem said, I will create a human being with the same shape of us. Which means, again, I explained last week that Hashem has no shape whatsoever, and he's completely abstract from any shape and any form. But Hashem, how he brings himself into this world, so our perception of it has a shape. Hashem doesn't have a shape. Just like I give an example of the water of the cup. The water remains without a color, right? But if my glass would be blue, so I would think that the water is blue. So my perception is that if I'm telling a 5-year-old boy, what color is the water? He will say it's a blue water. When in reality, the water is not blue, it's unspecified. So the energy of Hashem, how we see it, has different aspects. Yes, there is Havayeh, there is Elokim, there is Gvura, there is Chesed, but Hashem remains unspecified. Hashem remains much beyond all the descriptions and form and shape and attitude. Hashem remains unspecified. So, how we look on ourselves and how we will understand, where will we see the Havaya Elokim in ourselves? He says, כמו הכוח השכל להשכיל השכלות הרואי נמשך בכוח המשכיל שבנפש שהוא הכוח העיולי. על כל מיני גילויי שהכל נמשך מהכוח המשכיל כידוע. There is a certain skill Hashem gave us, which is the כוח השכל. The ability to process logics and ideas. Right? Now, there is a physical brain. There is the physical brain, and there is the soul that has a certain skill that goes into that brain and is able to process a lot of svarot, of logics. It will be very wrong to say that the brain is just like a box. And inside this box there is thousands of different logics. And each time I come up with a new idea, it's as if I'm taking a paper from a box and I'm taking it out. No, it's not like this. It's explained in Kabbalah, in Chakira, in many places, not only in Kabbalah, in Jewish philosophy in general, that there is a concept of koach ayuli. What's koach ayuli? A neutral logic processor, which is unspecified. This possibility of processing logics is unspecified, is neutral, and based on the context I have in front of my eyes, if I think about mezuzah, and I think, I will come up with chidushim, with new ideas in Ilchot mezuzah. If I will think about a different topic, so this koach hayuli, this neutral logic processor, unspecified, it will focus on a different topic, and it will be able to create new concepts, new ideas, new discoveries. This is koach hayuli. By the way, we see the reflection of it in all the creation. Hashem created a certain koach ayuli, which means a certain tangible material, which is unspecified. And after that, he created the 4 elements, esh, ruach, ma'im, afar. He gave a shape to this chomer ayuli. This is the Rambam say at the beginning of Bereshit. So there is a concept of neutral step, and after that it becomes specified. So the same exists with the skill of logic in our brain. There is something which is unspecified. We have a possibility, a skill of developing ideas, but it's not specified and unlimited. This koach hayuli, if it remains working for hours and hours, it could create new ideas for unlimited. Just like we spoke about the Rambam last week. The Rambam did a work, incredible work that 100 years for us because just his koach hayuli didn't stop. He used every single second of his koach hayuli, and he processed new ideas and new ways of reshaping and reorganizing the Torah. Unbelievable. By the way, some people, I know a person like this, that has a very hard time to fall asleep because his brain is constantly woke. His koach hayuli doesn't stop processing nuzvalot. And sometimes people have a very hard time, so they need to take a pill or they need to take natural things. I heard that chocolate is good for that. And it relaxes the brain from thinking. Slow down.
Chocolate is good for that?
I heard. Dark chocolate, I heard, is good for the brain.
Maybe spiked chocolate.
Okay. But in this koach hayuli, so there is the concept of revelation or creating, pouring new ideas, creating new ideas. But this same koach hayuli creates a limitation to a certain logic. I will send you an example. If someone takes one logic and he goes with that logic without boundaries, it could destroy the world. Right? If someone takes a certain logic, a certain idea, and with this idea, he will not box it, he will not place it in a certain box, that up to there, this idea is legit, but after that is not legit already, it could destroy the world.
Like every fascist.
Every
fascist.
Exactly. Beautiful. Which means they have a certain idea. They come with an idea that talks to everyone. We have to be protecting our country. It's logic, right? We have to think about our families, our nation before the others. But if you're taking this logic and you're going very far, you don't create boundaries. So this logic could destroy the world. You could start killing people, innocent. You could be a Nazi. When the original idea was true, of course, someone should take care of his family, of his nation first. Even Torah says that. But if you don't limit it, you go to extreme, and you go to very negative things. This is the koach hamaskil has two skills. It creates a certain concept in Gemara. Yeah, like a very typical concept of kal vachomer. Kal vachomer in English? Even more so, something like that?
Yeah, you can say all more so.
All more so. If you're going with that, you could create new dinim, new halachot in Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu will cry. And that's why we have the dayo. Yeah, for those that are familiar with the Talmudical concept, the dayo limits. Enough. This limit has to have an end. This logic, this idea has to have an end. Because the Gemara says if you go too far with the kal vachomer, you're going to make a destruction of the Torah. So we see that the same skill that Hashem made place in our brain, that from one hand, it will create light, a new genius idea. But the same sechel, the same koach hamaskil, say stop. I have to limit that. It's not a different intellectual skill. It's the same intellectual skill that has the ability to create and to stop. I'm explaining. The same idea with משפיע ומקבל, ואחרי שמשפיע יצמצם ויעלים ויגביל שכלו בכדי שיתקבל אל המקבל. A teacher, if he doesn't limit what he has in the mind, he doesn't make a certain contraction of the wisdom he has, no student will be able to understand what he says. Not a person. Because what is a student? By definition, a student is a person that doesn't have your knowledge, that doesn't have the knowledge of the teacher. If the teacher reveals everything, so that the students can handle it, they just don't understand zero. So he's not a good teacher. What's a talented teacher? That is extremely wise, very, very smart, and has the ability to contract and to put in very, very simple letters the huge wisdom that he has. That's the most talented thing that we could find in a teacher. That's, for example, a person I know that when he gives a shiur, it could be 500 people, and he speaks the deepest biurim on the parasha or in Talmud, and everyone is quiet and just looking at him because he has a capacity of explaining the deepest things in a very simple level, in a very simple letters that even simple people could understand. That's a tremendous skill that Moshe Rabbeinu had. And it's the same teacher. The same teacher, at the same time he does providing information and a huge limitation compared to what he has in his mind. Because if he doesn't do it, it's impossible to understand. You see, and it comes from the same koach hamaskil, the same processor inside. We'll finish with that. Says the Baal HaMa'amar, the same happens. Avaya Elokim. Avaya Elokim are two aspects. The provider, and Elokim is the contractor, the person, the aspect that has to contract and to limit the flow of information, the flow of revelation that comes out. In reality, why? Because, as I said before, the creator is unspecified, is much higher than that. There is atzmuto u'mauto, the essence of Hashem is higher than revelation and contraction. Says the Avodat HaKodesh, last week we brought his sefer, the Avodat HaKodesh, the blue, Rabbi Mirgui ben Gabbai. He was a Mekubal, older than the Arizal, 50 years before the Arizal. He was older than them. He says a tremendous base in Jewish philosophy. He says, Or Ein Sof, the essence of Hashem, Shlemuta dekola, contains everything, has the capacity for everything. Keshem sheyesh lo koach, the same he has the power and the ability, bebilti ba'al gvul, to express himself in the unlimited way. At the same level, he could express himself and in gvul, in limitation. Which means the essence of Hashem is higher than unlimited and limitation. Unlimited is a certain mode. Limitation is a mode, and the essence of Hashem is higher than both of them. You understand what I mean?
How's high and unlimited?
Which means that smut of Hashem, you cannot describe the essence of Hashem as unlimited. Because when you're saying on Hashem that is unlimited only, you're limiting it. The essence of Hashem is abstract. And the same ability and for him are equal. The limitation is not something that takes Hashem lower, to a lower level. If Hashem wants to create a world like this one, which is limited, which has a physical aspect and a certain size, right? The world has a size. It doesn't diminish from Hashem greatness. The expression of Hashem in the unlimited aspect and the expression of Hashem in the limitations are equal for him. When you understand that, in reality, this is exactly what's happening in the mindset of the teacher. The koach hamaskil, the ability to develop ideas, of processing ideas with the brain, is unspecified. Is unspecified. At the same level to produce ideas or to limit logics. To reveal logics and to say, no, this logic has to have an end. Because otherwise we're going nowhere, we're going to explode, we're going to do things that are very negative. And since the koach hamaskil is unspecified, he has both not. So this is why, says Moshe Rabbeinu, you have to understand something. V'yadata ayom v'ashevot elecha, you have to internalize something. Am Yisrael. That Hashem is much beyond that. Is beyond the concept of Avayeh and Elokim. Avayeh Elokim are Chad. Avayeh Hu Elokim is in reality coming from the same source. The essence of Hashem is beyond limitation and beyond non-limitation. This is the beginning of the answer of what the Baal HaMa'amar tells us, and it will bring us much better example in the next lesson, lesson number 2. Much better examples of our daily life. We have no time now, it's already late. But how do we see that we have a certain mode which is unspecified, and after that the same skill will express itself in Or and Keli, in revelation and contraction. There is 2-3 more examples that he will describe in very, very beautiful details. And it's fascinating, and with that we understand that Hashem, Havaya, in reality is Elohim, is the same idea.
Today's news is
We could pause.